Things got really weird in the Knicks-Timberwolves game last night. Tensions hit a boiling point at Madison Square Garden. It was a preseason game between the Minnesota Timberwolves and the New York Knicks, but it felt more like a playoff showdown. The hype was real, especially with the recent blockbuster trade that sent Karl Anthony Towns to the Knicks in exchange for Julius Randle, DiVincenzo, and Keita Bates-Diop. This deal had the entire NBA buzzing. The Knicks were making their championship ambitions clear, teaming up Towns with Jalen Brunson, Mikal Bridges, and OG to chase the title. But Devo, he was not about to let that trade be the last word. From the moment he stepped on the court, Devo had this edge, like he had something to prove. There was an undeniable chip on his shoulder, and it all came to a head when he was at the free throw line. As he prepared to shoot, he couldn't resist taking a shot at the Knicks bench. This was classic. He looked over in their direction and appeared to mouth, "Thank you for the trade, Thibs," seemingly addressing Knicks head coach Tom Thibodeau. And then, like he wanted to drive the point home, he followed up with, "Thank you for the trade. That's what happens when they let you run the show." Now, imagine the vibe in the Garden after that. The intensity was off the charts. Devo wasn't just playing basketball, he was making a statement, throwing shade while doing his thing on the court. And when you add that to the fact that this trade was still fresh, you just knew this game wasn't going to be your typical preseason matchup. The crowd probably loved it, right? It's New York after all, where drama is part of the show. But things didn't stop there. After the game, things took an even more heated turn. Devo and Knicks assistant coach Rick Brunson, who by the way is Jalen Brunson's dad, got into it. It wasn't some minor disagreement either. They had a full-on verbal exchange that had to be broken up. These two were face to face, and I can just imagine the energy in the air. You've got a guy like Devo, fresh off a trade, fired up, and then going at it with a key figure on the Knicks coaching staff. That's not something you see every day, especially in a preseason game. What makes it even crazier is that Devo tried to play it down after the game. When reporters asked him about the comment, he denied saying, "Thanks for the trade," specifically to Thibodeau. But here's the thing. He didn't exactly deny the comment itself. He said it was more in the general direction, which, let's be real, is just him dancing around the fact that he definitely meant to say it loud enough for them to hear. And come on, he knows there are cameras everywhere. Devo had to admit, obviously they had me on video saying it, but I love how he handled the whole situation. He didn't back down from being competitive. He owned the fact that he's emotional and plays with his heart on his sleeve. And honestly, that's what makes players like him so fun to watch. It wasn't just the comment though. The situation with Rick Brunson was what really blew up. Devo said he'd handle it privately, which is the professional thing to do, but you know this isn't going away that easily. The media is going to keep talking about it, and fans are going to keep replaying those clips. Who wouldn't? It's not every day you see this kind of off-court drama spill over right after the final buzzer in a preseason game. And here's what's so intriguing about all of this. The trade that sent Devo to Minnesota and brought Towns to the Knicks wasn't just any trade. It was one of those trades that can reshape a franchise. The Knicks are aiming for the stars with Towns, Brunson, Bridges. That's a core that could definitely challenge for the Eastern Conference crown. And they know it, but Devo clearly wasn't going to just take this trade and move on quietly. His performance and attitude screamed, "You may have traded me, but you're going to regret it." This is what makes the NBA so captivating. It's not just about the games, it's the stories, the rivalries, the personal vendettas. Devo versus the Knicks is suddenly a storyline everyone's going to be watching. Will he keep that same energy the next time they meet in the regular season? You bet he will. And you know Thibodeau isn't going to let that comment slide either. This is one of those situations that can light a fire under both teams. I wouldn't be surprised if the next Timberwolves-Knicks game feels more like a grudge match than just another regular season matchup. Honestly, this game was a perfect example of how trades don't just affect teams on paper, they impact the emotions and mentalities of the players involved. Devo clearly has a lot of feelings about being traded, and the Knicks, they've moved on, but not without taking notice of how fired up Devo was. You just know this storyline is going to continue all season long. What makes this even more interesting is how it sets the stage for what the Knicks are trying to do this season. With Towns in the lineup, they've put together a team that can go deep in the playoffs, and every game from here on out is going to be about fine-tuning that chemistry and proving they're legitimate contenders. But with drama like this swirling around, it's not just about basketball anymore. It's about the narrative, the personal stakes, and the fireworks on and off the court. This game gave us a taste of what's to come, and I'm here for it. Devo might not be a Knick anymore, but he sure gave Knicks fans a reason to keep an eye on him. And as for the Knicks, their focus has to be on gelling with Towns and getting ready for what's going to be a tough fight in the East. The Timberwolves, on the other hand, got a player who's ready to play with passion and prove a point. This was supposed to be just another preseason game, but man, it turned into something way bigger. I can't wait to see what happens next between these teams. By the way, if you enjoy these kinds of deep dives on all NBA situations, I'll be pushing out NBA content every day during the season. I genuinely appreciate it if you can subscribe. Thanks. But anyways, Devo had a really good game here too. He played 27 minutes and made a solid impact, finishing with 15 points. What really stood out was his efficiency. He shot 6 for 11 from the field, and it wasn't just about his scoring. Devo hit 2 of 5 from 3, proving again that he can be a reliable shooter from deep. What I loved most about his game, though, was how he contributed in so many ways. 7 assists, that shows just how unselfish he was with the ball, constantly finding his teammates and making sure the offense kept moving. It's not easy to rack up that many assists in just a preseason game, boy, so seeing Devo do it shows his court vision is sharp. On top of that, he grabbed 3 rebounds. While he's not the biggest guy on the court, it's awesome to see him crash the boards and mix it up in those scrappy moments. He also got himself a steal, showing that he's locked in on defense too. Devo has this energy and hustle that just doesn't quit, and that's exactly what every team needs. Even though they lost 115 to 110 to the Knicks, I wouldn't overlook his performance. Preseason games might not matter for the standings, but they give us a glimpse of what a player can bring when the real games start. With the way Devo played, it's clear that he's going to be a huge part of his team's success. His combination of shooting, playmaking, and hustle makes him a valuable asset on both ends of the court. If he keeps playing like this, he'll definitely be a key factor when the season officially begins. Honestly, I can't wait to see how his role develops once the games start to matter even more. But when talking about the confrontation, it's almost sad that this happened though, because next to Jeremy Lin and Xavier McDaniel, Devo is one of the best single-season Knicks ever. DiVincenzo's season with the New York Knicks last year was nothing short of incredible. When the Knicks signed him to that 4-year, $47 million contract, fans knew they were getting a solid player. His shooting, his energy, and his knack for being in the right spot made the deal a no-brainer. But man, I don't think anyone saw just how much of a game changer he would become for them by the end of the season. Now I'll admit, things didn't look all that impressive early on. Devo started the season coming off the bench behind Quentin Grimes, who was more focused on defense and took a lesser offensive role. Through the first 20 games, Devo wasn't blowing anyone away. He only started 2 of those games and averaged 9.1 points per game. Sure, he was knocking down a couple of threes a night and brought energy off the bench, but turnovers were a problem, and his playmaking hadn't really shown up yet. He had some defensive lapses too, which wasn't what fans were hoping for. But everything changed in December. On the 8th, the Knicks decided to switch things up and put Devo into the starting lineup. Quentin Grimes had been struggling with his offense and wasn't happy with his role. You'd think that would instantly transform the team, right? Well, not exactly. For a while, it seemed like Devo's impact was pretty neutral. He was averaging 10.6 points, 2.9 rebounds, and 2 assists per game over the next 11 games. While his shooting helped space the floor, the team's defense suffered without Grimes in the starting lineup. Then came December 30th, and that's when everything turned upside down. The Knicks pulled off a major trade, sending RJ Barrett and Quickly to Toronto for OG. Suddenly, the Knicks were shorthanded, and Devo was given the chance to step up. And boy, did he deliver. In a game against the Indiana Pacers, he exploded for 38 points, hitting 15 of 21 shots from the field, including 7 of 11 from three-point range. That performance might have come in a loss, but it was the spark that changed everything for Devo. From that point on, Devo didn't look back. He only missed 1 game the rest of the season and put up some jaw-dropping numbers. Over that stretch, he averaged 19.2 points per game, 4.2 rebounds, 3.2 assists, and 1.5 steals. And get this, he was shooting 44.2% from the field and an impressive 39.1% from 3. His shooting became a weapon, and it wasn't just about making threes. It was how he was creating space for everyone else on the court. The Knicks' offense started clicking, and his synergy with the other players, even the ones who didn't come from Villanova, improved big time. His defense and playmaking, they leveled up too. Despite a slow start, Devo became a key part of the Knicks' identity. He ended the regular season with career best averages of 15.5 points, 3.7 rebounds, 2.7 assists, and 1.3 steals per game. Not to mention, he shot an impressive 44.3% from the field and 40.1% from deep. That's crazy efficiency. And here's the best part. Devo etched his name into the Knicks record books. In a win against the Detroit Pistons in March, he set the franchise record for most threes in a single game. Just days later, he broke the Knicks' single-season three-point record, surpassing Evan Fournier's total of 241. And it wasn't just his stats that made Devo special, it was the way he played the game. He became a fan favorite almost immediately. Knicks fans hadn't seen a guard who could shoot like this in years, and his combination of confidence, volume, and efficiency was exactly what they needed. Plus, his calm demeanor, especially in high-pressure moments, made him stand out. And when he was out there with his former Villanova teammates, you could just tell how much chemistry they had. Devo's personality, on and off the court, quickly grew into something bigger than anyone expected. Now, let's talk playoffs, because Devo saved some of his best performances for when it mattered the most. In the first round against the Sixers, he struggled in 4 out of 6 games. But when the Knicks needed him the most, he delivered. After a quiet 8-point performance in Game 1, Devo hit one of the most memorable shots in Knicks history, a game-winning three-pointer that capped off a wild sequence and secured the win. That shot cemented his place in Knicks lore. And in Game 6, when the Knicks needed a lift to close out the series, Devo put up 23 points, leading them to the second round. The second round against the Pacers was a different story. Devo was outstanding in all but 2 games, and he fought hard throughout the 7-game series. Despite the Knicks falling short and dealing with injuries, Devo was one of the few bright spots. He averaged 22.7 points, 4.6 rebounds, 2.6 assists, and 1.7 steals in that series, showing just how much of a fighter he was. Looking back, Devo's season was nothing short of incredible. He played in 81 games, despite the heavy minutes and demanding role, and remained an amazing shooter who finally gave the Knicks the kind of spacing and elite outside shooting they desperately needed. His defense, his hustle, his ability to take over games, it all made him such a crucial piece for the Knicks. While the season didn't end the way they wanted, with a second-round exit, Devo proved he was more than worth that $47 million contract. He was a constant throughout a turbulent season, and the way he played was exactly what the Knicks needed to keep up with the modern NBA. And now, he has the chance to do the same thing for the Timberwolves. Joining the Minnesota Timberwolves is going to be a game changer. I'm telling you, this is one of those underrated moves that'll take this team to the next level. Pairing him with Anthony Edwards, Julius Randle, and Rudy Gobert is absolutely perfect. Let's break down why Devo is about to thrive in Minnesota. First off, Devo brings a level of energy and versatility that the Timberwolves really need. He's not just a shooter, though he's really good at that. He's also a hustle player. He's the guy who's diving for loose balls, making the extra pass, and locking down on defense. The Wolves are already a solid team, but adding Devo, that's just a whole new dynamic. Imagine him next to Anthony Edwards, both of them flying around the court, making plays on both ends. That's going to be fun to watch. One of the best parts about this move is how Devo fits into the Timberwolves' spacing and ball movement. Edwards has become the clear star, and with Devo playing off him, the floor opens up even more. Edwards loves to drive, he loves to attack, and Devo can hit those open shots when defenses collapse on Ant. It's going to make life so much easier for Edwards to find open shooters, and Devo's shooting will take full advantage of that. But it's not just his shooting. Devo is also a great secondary playmaker. When the ball swings his way, he doesn't just look to shoot, he's smart with the ball, he makes quick decisions, and he can break down defenses when needed. He'll be able to create his own shot when Edwards or Randle draw defenders, and that's going to make the Wolves' offense so much more unpredictable. And speaking of Julius Randle, I can't wait to see how those two will play together. Randle loves having shooters around him, so he can go to work inside. Devo's presence is going to force defenders to stay glued to the perimeter, which gives Randle more room to operate in the post. This is a perfect match. Imagine Randle bullying his way to the rim while Devo waits on the outside. If the defense sags off Devo, he'll bury the three. If they double Randle, boom, easy kick out for a wide open shot. Defensively, Devo's intensity is exactly what the Timberwolves need. Anthony Edwards has the tools to be an elite defender, but having Devo next to him will only push him to be even better. Devo has always been known for his on-ball defense and his ability to guard multiple positions. He'll be able to lock down opposing guards and even some wings, taking pressure off Edwards to focus more on his offensive game. With Devo and Edwards in the backcourt, Minnesota's perimeter defense could be one of the best in the league. Then there's Rudy Gobert. Man, Gobert's presence is going to make Devo even more dangerous on defense. When you've got a shot blocker like Gobert behind you, you can play more aggressive on the perimeter. Devo's already a pest on defense, but with Gobert cleaning up any mistakes, he'll be able to take more risks and generate even more turnovers. Imagine the fast breaks the Wolves are going to create with those two. Devo's hustle and Gobert's rim protection, that's going to be a nightmare for opposing teams. Devo also fits perfectly into the Timberwolves team culture. This team is young, hungry, and full of guys who love to compete. Devo's got that same mentality. He's a winner. He's played in big games, won a championship with the Milwaukee Bucks, and knows what it takes to succeed at the highest level. That winning mindset is something the Wolves need if they're going to make a deep playoff run. And Devo's experience is invaluable. He's been there, done that, and he's going to help push this team to be even better. Now, let's talk about his role. Coming into a team with Edwards, Randle, and Gobert, Devo doesn't need to be the star, and that's a good thing. He's at his best when he's playing off other stars. He doesn't need the ball in his hands all the time to be effective. Whether he's coming off the bench or starting, he'll find ways to make an impact. But let's be real, I think he's going to start. The way he spaces the floor and defends, that's too valuable to keep him on the bench for long stretches. He'll be a perfect complement to the Wolves' big three. The Timberwolves have been looking for that extra piece to push them into the top tier of the Western Conference. Edwards is blossoming into a superstar, Randle brings that physical presence, and Gobert is the defensive anchor. But they needed that glue guy, someone who can do a little bit of everything. And Devo is exactly that. He's going to fill in all the gaps. He's the type of player who can elevate a team with his energy, his shooting, and his defense. Let's not forget how much Devo's shooting has improved in the last couple of seasons. I expect him to continue that trend in Minnesota. With the attention Edwards and Randle will command, Devo is going to get a ton of open looks. And when he gets hot, watch out. He can swing games with his shooting alone, and he's fearless in big moments. I can already picture him knocking down clutch threes late in games at Target Center. Another thing I love about Devo is his chemistry with teammates. He's played with stars before, and he knows how to fit in without stepping on anyone's toes. Whether it's sharing the ball or taking a back seat when needed, Devo is a team-first guy. That's exactly what this Timberwolves team needs. A player who can adapt and thrive in any role. In a loaded Western Conference, every little edge counts. Adding a player like Devo gives the Timberwolves that extra push. His ability to play multiple positions, defend at a high level, shoot from deep, and make smart decisions is going to be critical for this team's success. And playing alongside stars like Edwards, Randle, and Gobert, Devo is only going to get better. So yeah, Devo's addition to the Timberwolves is a massive win. He's going to make this team even more fun to watch, and I truly believe he'll have a breakout season. This is the perfect situation for him to shine. And Timberwolves fans should be excited about what's coming next. But for Devo and Randle returning, it was a special night at Madison Square Garden as Knicks fans gave an emotional tribute to their former stars, Julius Randle and Donte DiVincenzo. When the tribute video played, the crowd went wild, rising to their feet to show their appreciation for the duo. It was their first time back at MSG since the Knicks traded them to the Minnesota Timberwolves in the offseason as part of the Karl Anthony Towns deal. And let me tell you, the love was real. Knicks fans clearly haven't forgotten what Randle and Devo brought to the team. The ovation was loud and heartfelt, a real reminder of just how much these two meant to New York. They were warriors on the court, and the fans at MSG definitely remembered that. The whole place felt electric during the tribute, and you could feel the mutual respect in the air. Now, what made this even more special was Devo's response. Before the game, Devo took some time to speak to reporters, and his words were straight from the heart. He made it clear that his love for Knicks fans is through the roof. I mean, he even called last year one of the best years of his life. That says a lot about how connected he felt to the city and the fans. Devo also squashed any rumors that he wasn't happy in New York, calling those reports completely untrue. He didn't sign that 4-year deal hoping to get traded after just one season. That wasn't part of the plan at all. He didn't want to leave, and you could really hear that in the way he talked about the fans and the energy at MSG. It's rare to see a player be that open about how much the fans mean to them, but Devo was all about it. And when he said, You can't even describe it? Talking about how special it was to play in New York, it was pretty clear that the feeling was mutual between him and the fans. You know that kind of connection doesn't just fade away. Later in the night, Devo received another standing ovation when he was introduced as a starter for the Timberwolves. It's one thing to hear cheers for a tribute video, but getting that kind of reception during the starting lineups, that's when you know Knicks fans truly appreciated him. It wasn't just a token cheer, it was a real, heartfelt moment. This game may have been a preseason matchup, but it was anything but ordinary. For Knicks fans, this was their chance to show Randle and Devo just how much they were loved. And for those players, it was a reminder of the incredible support they had during their time in New York. Even though they're with Minnesota now, their bond with the Knicks community is still alive and strong. What a night at MSG. Fans got to relive the memories of two key players who fought hard for the team, and both Randle and Devo got the recognition they deserved. It was emotional, it was special, and it showed just how much of a connection these guys had with the Garden faithful. I'm sure Knicks fans won't be forgetting this night anytime soon.
New York, we here.
Oh, for sure I'm gonna feel cool walking into that Garden. It's a dream come true for me.
It's a Randle rampage.
You know, for me, my biggest thing is I just want to be able to play with that joy.
Puts up a three.
Appreciate the journey. You know, I wake up every day and I love the challenge.
New York, what's up? We're finally here, man.
In the Garden Zone, it's nothing like it. It's truly a special place.
Standing ovation for Donte DiVincenzo here at the Garden. This is what we do. This is who we do it for. Donte DiVincenzo, a new Knicks record for most threes in the game.
A big record.
Good! DiVincenzo delivers again. And hammers one down. DiVincenzo a three. Bang!
Knicks fan Julius Randle and Donte DiVincenzo.
Overall though, last night was something special. It was a weird scene at Madison Square Garden. DiVincenzo, a player who lit up the court for the Knicks last season, was now in the opposing colors of the Minnesota Timberwolves. I mean, just think about it. Seeing him going head-to-head with the team that once embraced him felt surreal. After spending a year in New York, Devo really became a fan favorite. He showed his hustle, his passion, and his ability to sink crucial shots. Knicks fans loved him, and honestly, it was tough to watch him in a Timberwolves jersey. He was the spark that got the Garden buzzing last season. So when I saw him beefing with the Knicks during the preseason matchup, it felt like a punch to the gut. There's just something odd about former players throwing shade at the team that gave them a platform to shine. But let's be real, it's a business, and Devo has every right to do what he feels is best for his career. Reports circulated about him being unhappy with his role, but he shut those rumors down with some heartfelt comments. He expressed his love for Knicks fans, and you could feel the appreciation pouring from him. That mutual respect is what makes basketball so special. Players come and go, but the connection with the fans is something that lasts forever. When he got introduced as a starter for the Timberwolves, the energy in the building was electric. Knicks fans rose to their feet to give him a standing ovation. It's so cool to see how the fans recognize talent, regardless of the jersey. It really shows that New York fans are passionate and have a deep understanding of the game. They appreciate hard work and dedication. And even though it was strange seeing him on the other side, it was heartwarming to see the love exchange. Now let's shift gears and talk about the Timberwolves. I'm genuinely excited for Devo's season with them. With Anthony Edwards, Rudy Gobert, and now Julius Randle, that team is loaded with talent. They've got a perfect mix of youth and experience, and I think Devo is going to thrive in that environment. Imagine him feeding off the energy from Edwards. Their fast-paced style fits perfectly with Devo's game. It's a coach's dream. The Timberwolves have the potential to be a legitimate threat in the Western Conference this season, and I can't wait to see how it all unfolds. On the flip side, the Knicks are gearing up for an exciting season too. They've got Karl Anthony Towns now. This guy is a walking bucket and a versatile big man. Pairing him with Jalen Brunson gives the Knicks a dynamic duo that's hard to stop. I can't help but think about how Towns can stretch the floor and open up lanes for Jalen Brunson to drive. The Knicks roster is shaping up nicely. They've got a good mix of talent and experience, and I believe they'll be contenders in the Eastern Conference. I can't wait to see how they mesh together. With Towns and Brunson, they can create mismatches against almost any team. The energy in the Garden is going to be off the charts this season. It's a unique situation for both Devo and the Knicks. For Devo, it's a chance to carve out a new identity with the Timberwolves. He's moving from a team that loved him to a squad with a whole different vibe. It's a fresh start, and he has a fantastic opportunity to show the league what he's made of. And for the Knicks, they're embracing a new chapter. The addition of Towns marks a bold move in their pursuit of greatness. It's all about finding that winning formula. This season is going to be one of experimentation and excitement. In the end, while it was weird to see Devo beefing with the Knicks, I can't help but feel pumped for what's ahead. I'll be cheering for him and the Timberwolves, and I'll be right there, rooting for the Knicks and their new roster. If you enjoyed this, I'll be pushing out NBA content every day during the season. I genuinely appreciate it. If you can subscribe, thanks for watching.